In 2014, and again by an even larger margin in 2019, Narendra Modi secured a mandate India hadn't seen in decades. These victories represented a massive shift in the country's political gravity, backed by the support of 1.4 billion people. In a country where national politics had long been dominated by elite families and inherited wealth, he possessed no silver spoon and zero dynastic backing. Narendra Damodar Das Modi was born in 1950 in the dusty town of Vadnagar, Gujarat. As the third of 6 children, he spent his early years helping his father sell tea to passengers at the local railway station. It was a childhood defined by labor, not privilege. Coming from the absolute margins of Vadnagar, his rise to the top of the world's largest democracy broke a long-standing tradition of elite-led politics. Without family connections or vast sums of money to launch a political career, Modi found a different path. At age 8, he joined the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, or the RSS, a sprawling Hindu nationalist organization. As he grew older, he committed entirely to their ideology, eventually becoming a full-time pracharak. That role required him to serve as a deeply committed, celibate grassroots organizer. This commitment required extreme personal sacrifice. He gave up the prospect of a salary, he walked away from traditional family life. For years, he lived out of a single bag, constantly traveling across the country to build the organization block by block. He spent decades without ever putting his name on a ballot, but those years of grueling behind-the-scenes work taught him exactly how to mobilize crowds and build a loyal political machine from the ground up. That deep organizational loyalty paid off in 2001. His party abruptly appointed him Chief Minister of Gujarat, placing him in charge of a state of 60 million people, despite the fact that he had never run for office. Almost immediately, his administration was engulfed in crisis. In 2002, severe communal riots broke out across the state. By the time the violence subsided, over 1,000 people, mostly Muslims, had been killed. Critics heavily scrutinized his handling of the violence. For the next decade, he faced intense domestic court investigations, and both the United States and the European Union barred him from entering their borders. Facing political isolation, Modi executed a sharp strategic pivot. He shifted his public focus entirely away from cultural divides and concentrated heavily on economic development. He aggressively cut red tape to attract foreign investors. He pushed for the rapid construction of high-speed highways and ensured that factories had uninterrupted power supplies, infrastructure that many other Indian states struggled to provide. By positioning his state as an economic powerhouse, he slowly managed to rewrite his own story. The public narrative shifted from the violence of 2002 to a new identity, a highly effective, business-friendly administrator. He leveraged that reputation onto the national stage. Promising that good days are coming, his 2014 campaign capitalized on public frustration with stagnant growth, resulting in the first single-party parliamentary majority India had seen in 30 years. With full control of the legislature, he moved fast. He rolled out a massive nationwide sanitation drive to build millions of rural toilets, and simultaneously pushed 500 million unbanked citizens into a new state-backed digital financial system. Then, in November 2016, he delivered a massive shock to the system. With a single television address, Modi declared that 86% of all cash circulating in India was instantly illegal tender. The administration claimed this move would instantly wipe out hidden, corrupt wealth. In reality, it sparked extreme chaos. Millions of citizens spent weeks standing in massive lines just to exchange their suddenly worthless cash. Economists heavily criticized the fallout, but the policy highlighted a defining feature of his leadership style: the willingness to execute massive, disruptive directives where the perceived long-term intent is meant to override intense, immediate economic pain. By 2019, voters rewarded him with an even larger electoral mandate. Secure in his position, his administration began pushing through deeply polarizing ideological changes. In one swift move, he revoked Article 370, stripping Jammu and Kashmir of the special autonomous status it had held for decades. His supporters praised the move as a necessary territorial integration, while his critics condemned it as a heavy-handed rollback of democratic rights. That same centralized approach was tested globally. During the COVID-19 pandemic, his government successfully deployed one of the largest digital vaccine rollouts on Earth. But it also faced devastating logistical failures, marked by massive hospital overflows and severe oxygen shortages during the 2021 second wave. Whether managing public health emergencies or redrawing constitutional lines, his executive style remained consistent. By moving rapidly on these flashpoints, he further consolidated his authority over the state mechanism. That domestic consolidation has allowed him to project a completely new posture on the international stage. India no longer asks for a seat at the table. It projects the image of an assertive, indispensable power. He has meticulously built strategic independence by tightening defense and trade relationships with Washington and other key Western allies. At the very same time, he has maintained his own course by continuing robust, highly lucrative energy and diplomatic ties with Russia. His legacy remains sharply divided. Half the world views him as the visionary economic reformer India needed to modernize. The other half sees a populist leader steadily eroding democratic institutions. But the sheer distance he has traveled is undeniable. A boy who spent his childhood pouring tea for train passengers in rural Gujarat now dictates the geopolitical and economic reality of 1.4 billion people.